Hi, this is Toby from Our Data Solution. I want to take a moment and show you one of the new features we have coming up in Logos 4.2. It's the application wizard. It kind of looks like the Logos wizard that was in previous versions, but what we've done is condensed it down to a single screen. That means you don't have to go through all the steps to configure the connection and the fields and all this. It's actually done just within one screen. Let me show that to you now. This is a pretty clean Joomla installation. I call it Joomla test. And let's say we've just installed Logos. You can see that we have the default application. We don't yet have any queries, nor do we have any variables, the input variables, the output variables. We do have our default connection to the Joomla database, and I've created a connection to the sample data already just to expedite this little demo. Now you can imagine if you've just installed Logos, or if you are going to install Logos, what you'll want to do is create an application so that your users on your website can access some of the information in your database. And by this, of course, I mean to search some of those records, to view the records, maybe even to add and edit and delete some of those records if they own the records, for example. So what you would do is come over here to create the application, click New, and well, that's a connection. What about an application? Click New for the application, and we'll give this application a name. We'll call it Dealerships. And we're going to specify that we're going to use the sample data connection that I've created just previously. Let's go and apply those changes. It's created the alias for us. And we can also now see a list of tables in that database with that connection. So we'll go down and we'll select that dealership table. And on the bottom of the screen, we see all the fields found in that table. And we can see their field name, maybe some information about their type, what size they are, whether they are required by the database or not. And then we also have some additional fields here. Now these fields over here, we can actually edit. We can change the title of those, what would become the input and the output variables. I'll show you that very quickly. We can see that Logos has determined already some of the field types. For example, we have a logo here or a thumbnail here. Well, obviously we're going to be uploading a file. And some of the data types, field called website will be a URL, of course, email address. What I'm going to do is I'm going to configure some of these search fields. These are the fields that will be in the search interface that most users will use to look for records. Okay, let's just get a few different types there. And we'll configure that one as well. So we've configured our table. Now to generate the queries, we say create queries. We come back up. Let's hit that apply button. This is a warning that we're going to generate the queries for us, and it will be updating the existing queries. Actually, we don't have any existing queries yet, so that'd be fine. Hit OK, and it comes up with a message saying what we've created. We've created some variables, and we've created some queries. Well, let's check those out. Here's our application. Here are our queries. If you've been working with Logos already, you know exactly what these things mean. Here's our admin query, and here's our search query. We have an add, an edit, a delete, a publish, and a few other special purpose queries. If you want to take a look at those, you will probably recognize the SQL syntax here. Now remember, the common user doesn't need to know any of that syntax. The wizard has done all that work for them. Here's our input and output variables. If you wish, we can go and give that, change the title there, perhaps give it a description. And we can configure any of these inputs and outputs like we normally would in Logos. The big difference in this version of Logos and the new application wizard is that it really does a lot of this work for you already. Okay, so let's see how that looks in the front end. This is from the previous version of the wizard, and this is the one which is just generated. So let's take a look at that admin query. We have one record in this database. Well, let's add one. I'll give this a name. Now remember, we haven't configured these queries or these input and output variables yet, so they're just text fields. That may not be what we want in the long term, but for now, it's basically done for the user. My city, my state, blah, blah. And me at site.com. And we'll just manually type that in for the moment. Click submit. Our record has been added to the database, and there it is. Notice that we can also publish information very easily, and we can even delete this information as well. So there it is, the new application wizard, a new feature coming out in Logos 4.2. Currently we have a version out which is beta, but I think we'll have the final version out by the end of May 2010, if not May, early June. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. So if you're working on developing a site, I highly recommend using the new version and testing out this new feature.